the gateway to Uganda's abundant wildlife. 5 lakes, forest, and savanna grassland. The only national park where the biggest concentration of impalas, zebras, and elands are spotted. Home to African apex predators. And the nearest national park from Entebbe International Airport and the capital city Kampala. Welcome to Lake Mburo National Park, Uganda's Community National Park. Seated in the heart of Nyabushoji Hills in Chiruhura district, Lake Mburo National Park is a 4 hours drive from the capital city of Uganda, Kampala. Located along Masaka-Mbarara Highway, it borders 2 districts of Isinjiro and Mbarara City, the commercial hub of western Uganda. It is the smallest savanna park in Uganda, covering an area of 370 square kilometers, with its conservation area extending to nearby districts in the Greater Masaka and Ankole sub-region.
All these areas have important wildlife that are directly linked to the wildlife that we have inside the national park. Lake Nishema, the major wildlife which is there, we have hippos, and so is Leontonde with hippos. But when we go to Sango Bay, we have elephants and buffaloes. So all these are part of the responsibility of the conservation area, although what many people know is the national park called Lake Mburo National Park, which is 370 square kilometers.
The birth of this magnificent park has a cultural attachment to the Ankole Kingdom, which once prevailed way back in the 1930s.
The park started as a controlled wildlife hunting area way back in the 1950s. And this controlled wildlife area was mainly for the Ankole royals. So I can quickly say for sure conservation and gazettement of wildlife started way back before the Muzungus, because the king was the only one allowed to hunt in the area. And that's why when you are coming into this park, the last village to the park is called Rwamuhuku, where the Wahuku or the slaves of the king used to stay. And when he's coming to hunt, they are the ones who would be helping him in doing this job. So there is a cultural attachment to this park. If you want culture, you'll find it there. We have the Ankole Conservation Trust, Ankole Cow Conservation Trust, Acha. They will give you all the Kinyankore culture stories and so on. You'll be knowing how to chan milk, all that is there. That's the cultural part of it.
In 1983, it was gazetted into a national park amidst a liberation war which ended in 1986. But today, the park is remaining with only 40% of its original composition. Lake Mburo National Park is Uganda's nearest national park from Entebbe International Airport, Kampala City, Masaka City, and approximately 30 kilometers east of Mbarara City.
It's the only park where you can come from the 3 cities with ease of, or maybe I can say 4. If you consider Kampala, 3 hours. Masaka, 2 hours to Mburo. Mbarara, 30 to 40 minutes. Fort Portal, 2 hours. And you're in Mburo, you will enjoy everything you want to do and you'll go back to your home. So it's a place where the weekend can be sweet for those people who want to come for weekends, because we have quite a lot of things packaged together that you can get in one go in Lake Mburo National Park.
At Sanga town, along the highway, zebras, impalas, and buffaloes will give you a glimpse of the park's rich wildlife while feeding with cattle and other domestic animals over 10 kilometers outside the park. The gateway to Uganda's abundant wildlife, Lake Mburo hosts hundreds of bird species, cats, mammals, reptiles, and one of the world's most dangerous animal, the hippo.
It's a Ramsar site, and therefore if it is a Ramsar site, it's very important for migratory birds. We have quite a number of birds here, like the shoebill, which you can easily find in the wetlands around. We have also significant populations of topis in this particular park. We have even other big populations of buffaloes. We have big populations of waterbucks. We have big populations of warthogs. We have the hyenas. There are quite big numbers of them. So Mburo is critical and very good and unique in its own way.
It is habitat to Uganda's biggest population of impalas, wetland antelopes, the sitatunga, and the biggest antelope in the world, the eland. Lake Mburo is also known as a zebra park for hosting the highest number of zebras in all Uganda's national park. In 2015, Lake Mburo National Park widened its conservation scope with an introduction of the world's tallest mammal, the giraffe. 15 Nubian giraffes were translocated from Mashishon Falls National Park and have now multiplied to 45, boosting the area ecosystem. Their fast adaptation is attributed to the open savanna woodlands and bountiful acacia trees, their favorite meal. The park is home to one of Africa's big 5 game, the African Cape buffalo. The bulls control a herd of between 30 to 50 buffaloes, including females and their young ones, while the rejects seek solace and security from the world's most dangerous animal, the hippo. They wine and dine together in each other's territory and sometimes cooling off the heat with ease and peace. These gigantic beasts hijacked all water points in Lake Mburo National Park, including this community dam at Ramuhuku. During the dry season, hippos sneak into available water dams, making it a no-go area for communities. The park boasts of 5 lakes including Lake Mburo, Chigambira, Mutukura, Kibwika, and Kazuma, which are habitat to both aquatic and semi-aquatic wild animals like crocodiles, hippos, snakes, and hundreds of resident water birds living on the shores. Boat cruise on Lake Mburo provides the best birding sites of over 350 bird species, including the rare shoebill, African fin-foot, fish eagle, red-faced barbet, among others. Here, visitors stand a 75% chance of spotting one of the most solitary and elusive cats, the leopard, mostly during night game drives. Tourists are treated to amazing unique activities, including horse riding and bicycle riding through the animal tracks.
In terms of tourism, we are the only park actually at the moment which is offering bicycle riding, cycling inside the park. You do your cycling and you'll enjoy it. So you cycle with the wildlife. We have game drives for those who want to drive around the park. Also, we have horse riding for those who may want to do horse riding. We do it with a concessionaire. That's a unique product here. You will not get it elsewhere in the whole of Uganda.
With nature-guided walks, tourists are granted opportune moments to move up close to the wildlife. This experience provides maximum satisfaction and the actual feel of the natural wonders in the wilderness.
When I showed you when Advak has eaten all the termites and the termite is dead, then because the soils are very rich, baboons, birds, because they are feeding on the seeds, they poop on the top, then the trees grows. So when you check all those trees, wherever they are growing on termite mounds, because the soils are very rich. Yeah.
More motorable drives have been opened in all corners of the park to create more wildlife sceneries to the tourists. This, in addition to the uprooting of thicket and invasive species, have upped chances of spotting shy animals like statunga and elands during game drives.
Lake Mburo National Park has very nice and good accessibility. When you're from the trading centers, if at all you're coming in from Kampala via Masaka, via Lyantonde, you can branch off from Akagate, or you can come up to Sanga Trading Center. The roads there are maintained in that all vehicles can maneuver.
Even your small car can reach. We don't have those, it's not hard to reach. You will drive your Corolla in Mburo from Kampala and you don't have to use a lot of fuel.
Accommodation facilities inside the park provide stunning wildlife views at affordable prices to both local and foreign visitors. Visitors are subjected to soothing voices echoing from the resident bird species residing in and around the facilities.
We have accommodation areas, quite a number of them. It's unique. There are those which are inside and those which are outside. But even those which are outside, you'll still be enjoying the park as if you're in the park. Those inside the park, definitely excellent. Way from Chigambira Safari Lodge, Acadia Cottages, we have Ronyo guest houses, you go to Montana Wilderness Camp, all these are resident in the park.
What you pay for is what you get. The setup itself, the terrain, it is exclusive in such a way you're near nature. The design, the ambience, the food, the hospitality, it's of high class.
You come, you'll be with us inside. But if you say, okay, I'm a budget tourist and I want to stay outside a little bit, we have Eagle's Nest, Haina Hill, Rangeland, we have Mburo Safaris, we have Mhingo, we have Mbogo, and others.
When you're at Chigambira Safari Lodge, it's an exclusive lodge. You can hold a party, you can hold a wedding, reception while you're inside the park. You have a 360 vantage view of Chigambira Lake itself. You can do sport fishing in Chigambira, you can relax.
So Mburo is one such a park that will offer you all this in one go.
With a diminished conservation area, 60% of Lake Mburo wildlife stay on community land, putting the animals at risk of poachers. Animals like zebras, waterbacks, impalas, and buffaloes have inevitably encroached on neighboring ranches, feeding with cattle and other domestic animals in the neighboring communities, and these have sometimes destroyed their agricultural produce.
When animals go into the people's land, in most cases like the zebras, they eat the salt of the cattle grazers. Sometimes the buffaloes end up knocking the cows. Hippos, once they go there into people's dams, they also conflict with their animals. And at the moment, poaching is still there at a minimal rate. And major they like poaching zebras, impalas, elands, and sometimes hippos, without even forgetting these warthogs. But the major animals that are being affected here in terms of poaching are the impalas and the zebras.
The park management, however, established a conflict resolution committee which settles community grievances, hence minimizing the dangers that arise from such.
Inside the park, it's not a very big threat. Instead, most of the poaching incidences are found outside the park. And being our mandate as law enforcement to protect wild animals in and outside the park, so we go beyond the park boundaries. And by the time Lake Mburo was gazetted as a national park, it used to be touching the Tamaka Road. So when it was reduced to 40%, some of the animals remained in the people's farms. So it is us who still go ahead to make sure that those animals are well protected.
We have an active Human-Wildlife Conflict Resolution Committee which coordinates us with the communities. If the park has any issue, before we go to court or where, we have to go to the Community Conflict Resolution Committee.
Our Community Conservation Department has been trying to sensitize the communities about the values of conservation and bringing harmony into existence and see ways how best they can really stay with the animals. And the communities around, generally, they have been too much cooperative, though such challenges are coming up.
So you need their support, you need their participation in conservation, or else you lose most of the animals. So we need their participation, we need their, their engagement in conservation to have this wildlife alive on their private land, but also to let them know that this wildlife is not for the park staff, it's not only for the park, but for the entire country.
The conservation area has also been subjected to community encroachment from especially pastoralists who have consistently grazed their cattle inside the park. Lake Mburo National Park has specifically identified money-minting activities to directly support communities in many aspects of life.
Some of our communities, we have allowed them to put in the park, in selected areas, beehives for purposes of generating income. Some fish caging within Lake Mburo for purposes of improving the household income of our people.
We have worked with the communities to improve their livelihood through modern livestock farming, where we give out good bulls and goats to the communities. We have worked with the communities to do poultry and a number of other projects and a revenue sharing program.
We get money when the tourists come to visit the park. When they pay the park entry fee, 20% of revenue share comes back to us. And when it comes back to us through WA, and then communities also are empowered from those 20% revenue share, and they create them to buy materials which help them to make these souvenirs.
In order to let people feel they are part of this, we have come in with a program of sport hunting with the management partner, Game Trails Uganda Limited, which brings in guests who come for sport hunting.
That one, the company signed with the government. They are the one who are authorized to hunt some of these big animals which they normally comes in. So whereby me as a resident, I normally get 40%.
And it's not small monies. For example, if they utilize a buffalo on your land, you automatically get 45% of $2,000. So it's not small monies. So you may find in a hunting season, a family gets 20 million, 30 million. That way. So that the people begin to feel, yes, you feel the pinch, but you know, yes, it's like how your cow goes straight and eats your bananas. The next day, you know, it will give you milk.
At least every year, there are some money are supposed to be reversed to us to support us from different areas of life.
The infrastructural development of some villages like Rabarata, Remikunyu, and Ramuhuku have all been attributed to the economic prowess that the conservation area brings to these communities.
Park management has worked with the communities to grade some roads. For example, we have the Katenje-Tobihare road, which is 5 kilometers. We worked on that road. We've also worked on Rabarata-Chiribwa road, which is around 4 kilometers. And the main road, actually, the Sanga-Mineche road, which is 13 kilometers. And this is the gateway to the park, but also along with a number of villages, over 30 villages benefit from this arrangement.
They have built us a big school which is there. It's called Rabarata. It has constructed, the park constructed it 1 year back.
It is only God who just gave us like Mbu National Park, supporting us, because we are just teaching children from the under trees. Now they give us this block from sport hunting. So Lake Mburi is our best friend.
They constructed us a road which is from Sanga up to the main gate entry of the park.
Communities around here basically are pastoralists and cultivators. So they need these roads for transportation of their food stuff to the markets, but also milk to the dairy points or collection centers. And roads, for that matter, are a very, very important aspect in this area. And the park management has done this because it is very, very expensive to make roads. So you find that the communities themselves will not mobilize enough resources to work on these roads. That's why they come to the park for this assistance, and they're very grateful for that arrangement.
Work together with them. For example, when you look at the estate where they are living, it's really impressive. And all these are benefits from park, especially the estate where these fishermen are living. Another benefit is security. We are here safe enough. Okay, we are in the national park, but at least there is enough security for us. And we give us that freedom to fish throughout the year, but as we fish throughout the year, there is areas which we call no fishing zone, or these days we call them no-go zone, whereby these are breeding places.
Some communities have directly benefited from the ever-increasing number of tourists who visit the park regularly.
When clients are entering inside the park, some of them, they come and buy my paintings. And I've benefited them so much. Because it's where I get school fees for my son. It's where I get all needs of myself.
I have a curio shop whereby tourists come in here. If they are visiting Lake Mburo, they come and support the community.
They mostly come and buy these lions, mostly mount-colored lions, and they buy them in a plenty. You can find that when we are in a season, I can sell like 10 of them.
I sell crafts like the masks, necklaces, earrings, baskets. We do sell mats. These are locally made from the communities here. We have like desk organizers. These ones are made from the Ankole long horns. So those are the kind of the things these tourists like. I've benefited a lot. I can take care of myself, my kids, by taking them to school. Yeah, when you sell these souvenirs, they give you some money. You can take care of yourself and then the kids, even supporting the communities around, because some of the handcrafts are got from the communities.
When we get the money, we have a fishermen association. We introduced the fishermen association so that we can learn savings. And when we save, there are people who come in for, say, school fees for our children, even day-to-day activities like improving your homestead, improving your banana plantation. They are simple things, but they are really very important. So we introduced the Fishermen Association to avoid the misuse of what? Of resources.
We have also recruited mainly local people to do some certain other jobs, even rangers. you realize that though we have a national outlook, many times we make sure recruitment centers are located in the national parks. We usually get big numbers of the community members giving us their children. Actually now, like in Lake Mburo, our workforce is 30% Kiruhuri Sinjiro. So this is their park. They own it. They know this is our park. It is feeding us.
Rubare Fishing Community is another direct beneficiary of Lake Mburo Conservation Area, where fishermen have involved in a number of economic activities which have boosted their standards of living.
Tuvuba enkejje, tuzijjamu ssente, tuvuba engege, wamu n'emmamba. Tujjamu ssente, tuweerera abaana, tusobola okubeezawo famire zaffe. Tumazeewo ebbanga ddene. Tingaze chairman mazeewo emyaka 20 nga ndi wano ku Lake Mburo. Nyina abaana basoma, wamba ali ku university, naye sobola okwebeezaawo.
A number of community conservation programs have been established within the park to ensure continuity of wildlife conservation activities, and the programs like cage fishing, beekeeping have already started bearing fruits.
Under community conservation program, we conduct school outreaches, but we also receive schools right from kindergartens, primary school, secondary schools, tertiary institutions. We have an education center here, which has a capacity of around 80 students for accommodation, but workshops and seminars can handle over 100 students. We realize that if conservation is taken on by the younger generation, we'll be doing a disservice to them. We need children to appreciate conservation, instill in them the spirit and the love conservation for our wildlife to stay for posterity. So we are handling schools, we are creating conservation education in schools, teaching these children and students the values, the benefits, the threats, and how they can participate in conservation activities. So we received a number of them, like for the last 3 months, we received 48 learning institutions in this place. We talked to over 5,000 students and pupils about this arrangement, actually with their teachers, to appreciate conservation. And we've gotten very good feedback. We've had institutions that will call us and tell us, we have had children who have grown up through this arrangement. Some have become, actually some are the wildlife officers that we have now. Some are these district tourism officers, district environment officers that have gone through this arrangement. So they have learned to appreciate, but also some have done very good work. One will call you and tell you, come and look at my tree woodlot, which I planted after getting a lecture from the education center. So people have engaged in various conservation activities through this awareness in schools, and it is doing a very good service.
With this level of engagement, communities have continuously guarded Lake Mburo wildlife from any potential threats to maintain their annual benefits from the revenue sharing, sport hunting, access to the park for firewood, clean water, medicinal plants, and many others.
We have done more than 20 dams for the communities around to try and provide water to them.
So that dam, it cannot get dry. It helps us. That is where we normally fetch the water, and during the dry season, and every day, every time.
We have continued to give them watering permits during the very bad dry time when water is out of the dams and you can no longer get water anywhere. We give them watering corridors to access the Lake Mburo, or to access River Ruizi. All these ones, we want to make sure our relationship with the community is as good as possible.
Tusanze buzibu na park. Tukwataga bulungi ne park. Niwakige gye tuyamba. Kubanga oba tolina mukwano na park, obanga omenya amateeka tusobola kubeera mu National Park. Naye obanga ogoberera amateeka ga park nga mukwatagana bulungi, olina okubeerawo n'ojjamu ky'oyagala.
Both Lake Mburo and the neighboring communities enjoy enviable leverage and have created suitable environment to conserve the wildlife for future generations. The Zebra Park of Uganda, the Eland Park of Uganda. Lake Mburo National Park has been and still is the community park of Uganda.